Weighed myself last night, late at night, and I have 269 pounds, and that's just too heavy for me, and I have 264 in the morning-ish.
He was getting too fat, and so what do you think he decided to do? Coach Greg, in today's video, Chris Bumstead, well, apparently he got fat. He's weighing in at 269 pounds in the evening, and as you know, he's in his off season, and he's, quote, bulking. But is he really? And so I watched his video, and the total calories for the day, 3,700 in his off-season bulking. And do you know why? Well, it's because he says he was getting too fat. And so what do you think he decided to do? He lowered his calories, and now he's gain the cookbooking. You thought I was talking nonsense, that all these bodybuilders, they just go on a bulk year round. No, Chris Bumstead increased his calories to the point that he got to about 10% body fat. And now that he's at 10%, he decided to gain. He keeps his body fat at a healthy body fat percentage for him, which is about 10%. And he gain from there. And is it working? Yup. He says at the end, I'm eating this many calories and I'm getting stronger every workout. And so if you're at 20%, which is below average for most people 25% is a lot closer to what they are, then why are you on a bulk?
Breakfast has been super simple. You guys, if you've been following along my shit, when I get to the end of my off seasons, I hate eating breakfast and I hate eating eggs. So I make a shake. And
so Chris's freezer's broken. He still doesn't have a Ninja. And so he's making a shake for breakfast. He doesn't like eating breakfast in the morning. And so for breakfast, he's having a shake with 3 scoops of protein, also a couple slices of bread. And he's not scared of artificial sweeteners. Some of you think it's causing cancer. It's not. Well, perhaps as risky as rubbing on aloe vera on your skin. You know about that, right? And he's also adding fiber into the shake. I noticed throughout his meals, he doesn't consume vegetables. Chris says, year round, I try to consume fruits and vegetables, but in his off season, finds it harder to eat them. And so he's making up for it by adding in some fiber. He is adding bananas and blueberries into a shake, but for the majority of his meals, he doesn't consume hardly any fruits and or vegetables. I don't personally recommend this, but remember, Chris has an autoimmune disease. He's working with doctors and has the most ideal diet for him. Notice I said for him. Perhaps for you, if you copied this, it wouldn't be healthy. But for Chris, this is what he needs to do to win his 5th Mr. Olympia title.
I have Ezekiel toast. I normally don't go low sodium because it tastes way more bland, but they were sold out of the regular kind.
And his choice of toast is Ezekiel bread. But remember, I don't care what toast you're eating. You can have regular ass bread for all I care. White, whole wheat, whatever. But Chris, who's not eating vegetables and hardly eating any fruit, he perhaps needs to eat it like this to get in more fiber. But if you're making anabolic French toast or having sandwiches, it's okay to eat regular ass bread. So long as you're eating from all 4 food groups, you're going to get the macro and micronutrients you need by choosing a variety of foods from all the food groups. All the money in the world, making millions of dollars, having a cheap-ass blender and a freezer that doesn't work. I don't get it. I mean, he takes the blender off the shake. He's got the shake wake. What is Chris doing right now? Shouldn't a blender blend a shake? Why do you take a blender and shake it up with your hand? If it can't blend it, perhaps you need a different blender.
I'm right out of my other almond butter, but there's one other almond butter. It's called Barney's or some shit, but the almonds are blanched.
And on his Ezekiel bread, he loves to put on some almond butter. Remember, Chris needs a lot of essential, healthy fats. For the majority of Chris's meats, he chooses low-fat versions. Low-fat steaks, chicken breasts, and so on. And you'll notice in many of his meals, he adds in olive oil. He tries to get in his healthy fats. And so this question came up, and I thought it was a great question. I'm going to read it. Do you only eat lean poultry like chicken or turkey breasts and add fats like olive oil, or do you eat dark meat like skinless thighs too? Thank you very much. You're a big inspiration. And so Chris's response, I rarely eat chicken thighs. No, I prefer adding olive oil to those chicken meals as it's a healthier fat than thigh meat. And there's lots of nutrients that come from red meat. And so overall, Chris is saying rather than choosing the dark meat, for example, eating the chicken thighs or wings, perhaps you should stick to eating chicken breasts, turkey breasts, and so on, and add to that your healthy fats. The reason for this, the fats that come in animal meats are not rich in omega-3 fatty acids. carbohydrates in comparison to those that come from fish, for example, salmon and halibut. And so the main difference I noticed in Chris's 3,700 calorie diet as compared to my 3,500 calories, that's right, he only eats 200 calories more than me, and he's almost 270 pounds. I was 183 pounds this morning, suffering from bronchitis, having a harder time than last time. My diet, it's much higher in volume to keep me satiated. Rather than eating meats and adding fats, I consume more vegetables and or fruit. This allows me to have larger portions and keeps my appetite down. But in comparison to Chris, who's trying to put on as much size as possible, I'm trying to keep my weight down. After all, I'm a competitive cyclist. And if I weighed 270 pounds, my bike wouldn't go that fast now, would it?
This breakfast came to 827 calories, 80 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, 87 grams of carbs.
And so fast forward only 2 hours, he's ready to eat meal 2.
And I got some bison, 300 grams of potato, and some 225 grams of bison.
And so this meal, which is basically potatoes with some oils and some bison, only bit over 700 calories. He often will add ketchup, although he doesn't do it at this time. And he states it's important to be proactive. He has preset meals in the freezer in case he runs out of time and can't prepare a meal at home. That is a very good tip. I often carry snacks with me. They're in my vehicles on the go. And so if I don't have time to grab a meal, I can always grab a bar or two to tide me over until my next meal. A lot better than stopping over at Tim Hortons or Starbucks, grabbing donuts and so on. And so highly recommend you get some snacks, HDLT protein bars. Interested in this? Code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description.
I'll let the bomb go off.
You're supposed to do the thing where you like stop it right before one goes to 0.
I do the exact opposite.
And I don't know why this is a thing, but he brings up you're supposed to press the door to be open the second before it pops. I do the same thing. Why is that? Why can't we just let it beep? Let me know in the comment section when you cook something. Do you try to press the pop button before it beeps? Or do you just let it beep?
This meal is 718 calories with approximately 46, 48 grams of protein.
And so although he has an autoimmune disease that affects his kidneys, he's clearly still eating a lot of protein. Total protein for the day going to be over 300 grams. That's over 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But again, he's fighting for the Olympia title, and it does state that perhaps some people need 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight to maximize everything. He's admittedly not natty, and so perhaps that is why his diet is so high in protein.
I'm trying to mix up my protein sources a lot more. I will try not to eat chicken every meal every day. So I've been having like protein, different types of protein. I was having eggs for a while, but I cut those out. I was eating a lot more fish for a while.
He also suggests you eat meats from less mass-produced sources. For example, bison. He feels that they are lower in perhaps hormones, things that they cook in bulk. For example, chicken breasts, you see them everywhere. Perhaps they have more hormones, and so he's trying to eat a diet healthier than last time.
My exciting life, a full day of eating, why I still don't know why anyone watches these things. I got some chicken and rice.
And so meal 3, it's so exciting, it's chicken and rice. And hold the broccoli. He adds oil instead, bit higher in calories, but he wants those healthy fats. And so only 250 grams of rice, 220 grams of chicken, 15 grams of oil. Total near 700 calories and over 50 grams of protein.
I'm trying to hit 40 to 50 grams of protein in every meal, and I think that's like a pretty decent staple for almost anyone.
And so I was actually watching Peter Tia on the Tom Bilyeu podcast, which he was going over the various ways to increase protein synthesis. He stated that the best way is to eat multiple meals throughout the day, at least 4, possibly 5. And in each meal, ideally, try to have about 40 grams of protein or more. And so the ideal way to create muscle protein synthesis, you have to eat a fair bit of protein all at once. If you're a 200-pound person aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's 200 grams in a day. If you're eating 5 meals, it'd be 40 grams in each meal. In comparison, if you had the 200 grams all in one meal, you wouldn't be able to build as much muscle as if it's dieted out. And so if you're a guy doing intermittent fasting, perhaps eating in a 6-hour window, and you're only eating 2 meals, and you had 100 grams of protein in each meal, you wouldn't be able to build as much muscle as you had 4 meals with 50 grams in each meal. And so as Chris explains, if you're eating 10 meals a day with just a little bit of protein in each one, it's not going to create the same muscle protein synthesis as if you eat fewer meals with more protein all at once. And also during that podcast, I feel it's important for you you to know, the number one predictor of longevity, as in what you need to do to live the longest, is to have the highest VO2 max possible. And so in knowing your VO2 max is important, remember, it's not just having the VO2 max, it's what it takes to get there. If you have a really high VO2 max, perhaps like Coach Greg, you're racing bicycles, you're doing a lot of cardio, then what you had to do to get there was to train hard, harder than last time. And by training harder than last time, it causes several adaptations in the body that makes your body better equipped to live longer. And so if you're trying to improve your VO2 max, you need more energy, consider GO2 max. And remember, this is in fact backed up by several studies, but my own personal experience, as soon as I started using this, my cardio improved dramatically. And so I strongly suggest you give GO2 max a try. It worked for me, it's worked for tens of thousands of people. Please consider getting this. Code Greg, 10% off. Click the link in the description.
And as always, I'm trying to eat clean food because digestion is the number one thing that helps a bodybuilder long term.
And so for long-term digestion, Chris says it's important to eat healthy foods that are not processed all the time. All too often people think it's not going to make a difference. Perhaps in a few months and or years it won't, eating all processed food, but over the course of a lifetime, the decades of doing this, the problems they can add up.
And I've been slacking on the veggies, but that's just because I've been busy moving around a lot, and when I get into prep I eat a lot of veggies, so I'm like, I'll survive for a few months without them.
Remember, right now it's his off season. He's eating more calories, but when he's on a diet, he's going to be hungry. Remember, no matter who you are, no matter how gifted you are, if you're trying to get down to 4% body fat, maybe even a little less, it's very hard to stick to your diet. And so once Chris goes back on his diet, he's going to add more fruits and vegetables. You see him, he has his shredded lettuce to help him get shredded. Remember that quote? And so my advice to all of you, if you're struggling to keep your body fat down, add in more fruits and vegetables. You're going to be more full, less hungry, less likely to cheat. And I think it goes without saying, obviously, you should pick up Cookbook 3.0, my best book of all. It has all the best recipes, more recipes than last time, to allow you to eat massive meals that keeps you full, high in fiber, fruits, vegetables, protein. This is the ultimate book you could get on your weight loss journey. Need to learn more about dieting? Pick up the Circle Diet book, my life's work, easy to read and understand. You can implement it right away, very cheap. Please head over to the website, code Greg, 10% off. Click that link in the description.
I'm gonna vlog like this.
And so apparently Chris has Coach Greg skills. He doesn't know how to use technology. And so the rest of the video, he filmed it in slow motion. And so they couldn't post it on the video. So they summarized it. And so he had a total of 1,490 calories. And what I noticed was rather than putting the mayo in his avocado, he mixed in 2 teaspoons of honey with mustard. Now, the reason he did this is because mayo not really all that healthy. But many of you, I don't want you to get this wrong. You might be thinking, honey, it's so amazing, so great. And yes, there are antioxidants in honey, but it should be treated like added sugar. Honey, in fact, is sugar. It's very sweet. That's why you like it. And so if you consume massive amounts of honey, it's not good for you. But Chris only using 2 teaspoons is not a big deal. And on his diet, Chris consumes a banana nut protein bar from Raw, 260 calories. In comparison, many of my protein bars, only 220 calories, over 20 grams of protein, high in fiber. And so consider harder than last time proteins, or of course you can get Chris's raw protein bars as well.
Total calories ended up coming up to 3,700 calories, and that's with 300 grams of protein, 370 grams of carbs.
And so as you can see, he's not eating 5 to 6 or 7,000 calories a day, bulking up in the off season. He's actually main gaining. He got his weight up as high as 269 pounds, said, that is too big. I have to cut back a little bit. And so he's eating approximately 75 to 80% of the calories he was eating at his highest. But remember, after his diet, of which he had competed at perhaps 4% body fat, he obviously had to increase his calories to make his body fat go up. If he tried to remain at 4% body fat year round, it wouldn't work. No one is healthy at 4% body fat. You can't possibly put on the same amount of muscle at 4% as you can at 10%. Now, for the average person, I recommend 15% body fat. And since Chris is admittedly not natural, he can gain at a leaner body fat percentage than most people. Most people at 10% body fat, they might not have the energy, they might not feel good, they go to the gym, they can't properly get a pump, their testosterone levels might be slightly on the decline. And so I'd recommend they main gain at a higher body fat percentage. For most people, 15%. If you're perhaps a little bit more gifted, somewhere in the 10 to 12% range. But if you're not genetically blessed, you might need to be higher, for example, 20% body fat. But my main point, try not to maintain single-digit body fat and think that you're going to be able to put on as much muscle as if you're a little bit heavier. It's not about being shredded. It's not about being fat. It's about being somewhere in the middle, being healthy, having balance.
Like I said, not super high calories anymore, but I feel good eating this amount of food.
And so clearly he's eating enough. Could he eat more? Sure. He could eat 5,000 calories a day. He could push food, eat more, and get fatter than last time. He could get up to 300. But then he'd have to diet down. He'd probably have to add 1 or 2 extra months to his diet. And who wants that? If you're not having the energy you need, you're not feeling good, eat a little bit more. But if you have plenty of energy and you notice your body fat is above 20% body fat, you probably should go on a cut. Not a massive cut, but slowly lose the weight. Lose the weight slower than last time, perhaps a half or maybe 1 pound a week. You don't have to go on a crash diet. Eat a little bit less, and once you get to that healthy body fat percentage for you, then try to main gain. It's been my message all along, said this for years. And so good luck to Chris on his attempt at the 5th Mr. Olympia Championship. Ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo, like this video if you liked it. Can't you do that? Give me a like. Don't forget about the free diet and training program on my website. First, last name, email address, 100% free. And of course, watch one of those boops and for the cookbooks, the training books, the coaching plans by Be My Team. The Harder Than Last Time clothing line. You can get everything over the website. Code Greg, 10% off. And until next time, I am out.